There's a guy for a school that's got his ninth year. I don't feel so guilty about one of our new transfers getting his seventh anymore.
You are Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back into Locked On Bama, AHSA Radio Network's Luke Robinson. That's me. Alabama internet legend Jimmy Stein. That's him. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. We'll talk about FanDuel in just a little bit. I want to thank you every day for being every day because you know what? You made Locked On the number one sports podcast network there is. How about that? Yeah, it's all thanks to you. And, a little bit of us. Anywho, Jimmy, we're going to talk about Alabama playing tonight without Charles Bediako. We're going to talk about Alabama having a player getting his seventh year, that transfer coming in, getting his seventh year. This is the second player I know of that Alabama is getting the seventh year from. But I think we'll start with your roster countdown. Racin Delgatty. And, looking forward to this cat. It's interesting to me. So are you including the guys that transferred in already? I guess I hadn't thought about that before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm including every single player on the roster.
So Kedrick Bingley-Jones will be on here later.
I had to add him in, and I was going to talk about it in the segment. Yeah, I added him in, but he's behind Racin Delgatty. So we're going to kind of go back and cover. So we're going to kind of go back and cover him.
Strange. Yeah.
Yeah, like today, Racin Delgatty is the 26th ranked player on the roster. I slid in Kedrick Bingley-Jones at 30. So he's actually a guy we should have talked about Saturday, but I didn't want to add him until he got that seventh year definitely approved. Now, Alabama fully expected it. They wouldn't have taken him otherwise. Alabama sort of anticipated this, but until it was official, I didn't want to count him, but he is official. He's ranked 30th on the roster ranking. Racin Delgatty is 26. I will put an updated complete list on Discord hopefully today.
Why don't you? So next segment we're going to talk about his getting that seventh year. Yeah. That can count as your countdown aspect of him.
Exactly. But Racin Delgatty is 26. I agree. Funnest name on the team to say. Looking forward to his first interview. I want to kind of meet the guy via player interviews. Hopefully that comes up even this spring. I have him here at 26. He's a guy that could be a little higher after the spring should he win the center job, and I anticipate him doing so. Now, he's going to have to beat out Caden Strayhorn, who's promising. He's going to have to beat out Mal Waldrop, who's promising. Maybe even some other guys like Will Sanders could factor in at center. But no, I think Racin Delgatty is going to be the center. What a jump coming from FCS football, though, Luke. It's not like – if this guy was coming from Southern Miss, we'd be going, gosh, the SEC is a big step up from Southern Miss. Well, Southern Miss is a big step up from FCS football. So, it's a heck of a jump from that level up to the SEC. But guess what? There's FCS guys that play NFL football on Sundays. There are guys at that level who can play with the big boys. It starts with this. Are you big enough? Are you athletic enough? He's certainly big enough to play center in the SEC at 6'4", 305. Heck, he's big, or 6'3", 305. He's bigger than the center we had last year. So he's big enough. Now, is he athletic enough? There's your question. That's what's going to have to be answered this spring when he goes up against the Alabama defensive line every day in practice instead of the Cal Poly defensive line. But I like his chances. I do. I project him to win this job. I'm basing that on his tape from Cal Poly, where he clearly is the best lineman on the field. He shows what I think is the athleticism that will translate. There's a lot of pressure on this kid, Luke. In this sense, the offensive line is going to be new. Michael Carroll's the only guy back, and Delgatti didn't play with him last year. This is a completely new offensive line, and the center is the big toe of the offensive line. Now, that doesn't make sense because if the offensive line was a foot, the big toe would obviously be the left tackle or the right tackle, right? but the center is the actual guy that runs the show, makes the calls, and is the, in essence, leader of the group. and he's showing up with all these new dudes and he's playing at a new level, there's a lot of pressure on him. Hopefully he can come through, and I'm hoping that when we do future rankings, he's even higher than 26.
I'm with you. And when you said earlier, he's big enough and strong enough, I was thinking Stuart Smalley, and by God, people like him. So
we'll find out in these player interview things. I'm looking for. It's one of my favorite aspects of the spring when the media starts interviewing what amounts to a new batch of players.
I'm with you. I think eventually he's going to win the center job. I think experience is going to factor in here. I certainly like Strayhorn. I certainly think he has experience. I mean, having been at IMG, having been at Michigan, that's not nothing. I mean, that's probably close to being equal to Racin Delgatty playing at the level he was playing, to be quite honest with you, if not more so. But Racin Delgatty's, he's been out there in game time situations, and I know the crowd level is different. I know the pressure level is different, but it's what you got to hope is they have the mental fortitude to deal with that. And I'm looking forward to seeing what he can bring to the table. I'm a Racin Delgatty fan. And I can't say definitively, hey, this guy's going to be awesome, because we really haven't seen him. But I feel pretty good about it. I'm not so iffy. I was worried when Parker Brailsford declared.
Oh, yeah.
I was concerned. I mean, especially considering we lost his backup, whose name escapes me now with the weird name. What was his name?
Joe Ionata.
Ionata, yeah. Well, his name escapes me because I don't care about him anymore. He's gone.
They think he's at Georgia Tech, and they think he may start, by the way. I talked to a Georgia Tech guy, and they're like, he might be number one.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That would be a pretty good show if you and I sort of asked around to the various Locked On people where Alabama guys went, how they're doing there.
Yeah, maybe we can do that. Maybe we can do that post spring, because obviously May, June, and July is when we have to be a bit creative with our content. And but stay tuned. We hope to keep bringing you 6 shows a week and coming up with creative stuff all through the true off season, May, June, July, and obviously that's turned into a big recruiting time anyway. So everybody needs to stay tuned for that.
I love it when we come up with good ideas in show, and then there's no doubt I'm going to forget them.
Well, what happens is news keeps happening and recruits still happen. And instead of being starved for content, there's literally news to cover every day in May, June, and July because of the recruiting, official visits, commitments. In May, the coaches are on the road. In June, the kids come and make their official visits. And then in July, they make their commitments. And that keeps us busy. We don't have to do things like have on some, like a couple of times we had pageant girls on the show as guests who could tell us who the best looking guys on the team were. We had to do that in years past. We don't have to do that anymore.
We don't, but I kind of want
to. They were funny shows. Those were funny shows.
We've grown to the point where I think that would be too silly, but our fans that have been with us from the beginning be like,
they like it.
I kind of want them to do the best looking guy on the team again thing. Because
for those that weren't around then, we had girls who had competed in literal like Miss America pageants and Miss Florida. I think we had on some really good ones, and they told us basically we would discuss, and we did it like a seeding, like an NCAA tournament thing, and then they would say, yeah, this guy's better looking than this guy.
By the way, OJ Howard is
OJ
the
Howard
winner
really
every single year.
He retired the crown.
I want to talk a little I want to talk a little Indeed first. Indeed. I love Indeed. Hiring isn't just about finding somebody willing to take the job. It's about finding the right person, with the right background who can actually help your business move forward. And if you want candidates who match what you're looking for, Indeed sponsored jobs is the move. Because instead of hoping the right person stumbles across your post, Indeed helps you match with quality candidates by boosting your job listing to the people who fit your specific criteria, like skills or certifications and location. I mean, that's a big deal, right? If I were hiring, I wouldn't want just someone who can help. I mean, anybody can do that. I'd want someone with real experience who can jump right in. And here's a stat that says it all. In the minute I've been talking to you, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to the Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with Indeed sponsored jobs. Listeners, this show get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job premium status it deserves. Indeed.com/podcast. That's Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply because they apply to everything. Hiring, do it the right way, yo, with Indeed Jimmy Stein guarantee. Now, there's also FanDuel, which also carries a Jimmy Stein guarantee. Wow. Guaranteeing a lot these days. The winter games are officially here. And if you're anything like us, you're locking in for events you only get to see on the biggest stage every 4 years. That's why following the winter games on FanDuel just makes sense. From medal counts to individual events to finding your angle on the sports you care most about, FanDuel gives you more ways to stay connected to the action. The drama of curling matches that start slow and somehow get intense. I mean, they really do. It's weird. Speed skating races decided by inches. FanDuel keeps the entire Olympic experience engaging from start to finish. The winter games are on, and there's no better way to follow them than with FanDuel. At FanDuel, you want to play your game, and that's what you want to do at FanDuel. Okay, so let's talk about, is Kedrick
I think it's
Bingley-Jones.
I think it's Kedrick.
Kedrick?
I don't. Looks like Kedrick. It looks
okay.
like
It is Kedrick.
I think it's Kedrick. I think
that's fine. I'm gonna go KBJ.
Oh, that's better. That's better anyway because
KBJ.
That's a lot. That's a hand. That's a mouthful. Kedrick Bingley-Jones. That's a lot.
Yeah, I like KBJ. That's what we're going with.
Go. Let's do that.
We're sticking with Delgatti and KBJ. So he's got his 7th year. Now here's the deal: that the guy from Montana State, I think it is, he just got a 9th year. I didn't even bother looking up his name. He started at USC, whatever.
I mean, how would that happen? So dumb.
I don't want to start this again, but this is what I'm talking about. When people say Alabama is so foolish for even looking into the Charles Bediako thing, dude, when people are getting a 9th year, I mean, give me a break. Look into whatever you want. A 9th year is ridiculously stupid. It doesn't make any sense. It's so funny to me that Charlie Baker, the rules maker from NCAA, he said, well, now, the Bediako thing, common sense wins out because now he doesn't take anything from a teenager's dreams. What is this 9th year dude doing? He's taking 4 years of teenagers' dreams.
That's right. That's a great point, and it's so dumb. And if it's up to me, and nothing against Jamarian Latham and KBJ, nothing against them. I wouldn't. I think you should have 5 years to play, and that you got your 5 years to play your 4 years on the field, old school style, and that's it. And if some terrible misfortune befalls you, welcome to life, where terrible misfortune befalls a lot of people. You have 5 years to play 4, and that's it. And no pros, no G League, no I got drafted but I didn't sign. No, I played pro basketball in Europe 6 years before I came to America to play college basketball. None of that. I mean,
I played pro baseball and now I want to play college football. That is so. I mean, I heard Danny Cannell talking about that. He's like, I'm really okay with that. Why? Why are you okay with that? I mean,
yeah, I've always been a little uncomfortable. I'm just uncomfortable with the 24-year-old freshmen that are competing with the 18-year-old freshmen. So I get it from that standpoint. But
listen, they also talked about today, and we got to get to KBJ, but they also talked about that on Dusty and Danny, like, well, what about the guys who go on Mormon missions and then they come back and they want to be freshmen? I would say, hey, they have however many years. Your clock starts when you graduate high school. You have 5 years. Now, if you go on a Mormon mission and you don't come back till you're 21, well, then you get to play for, 2 or 3 years. You sacrifice. Again, life is not completely fair. I'm so tired of everybody saying things like, well, the Euro pros have nowhere else to go but pro. Well, tough.
That's not true.
It's not true. Yeah.
You can come to America and play college basketball when you're that age, But look, and I know people can make good faith, good arguments as to why this European should play. And I get that you can do all, but it's a slippery slope. It's not about that specific kid who turned pro when he was 16 and only made about $4,000, and now he's 18. He wants to play college basketball. Why are you going to deprive that kid? I get all that stuff. I get it, but it's a slippery slope. Once you let that kid play, then you're going to give up an inch to the next kid that's just 1 inch more, ineligible. So I don't like the slippery slope. I don't like the 7th-year guys. I mean, I get the COVID year. That year I get, but that should have only just been 1 extra year. And now, I mean, Jamarian Latham and KBJ are at Alabama in part because of the COVID year, which is now, boy, I wouldn't say ancient history, but that was a while back. Jamarian Latham has a national championship ring from the 2020 team, and KBJ entered college football at the same year he did. Now, again, nothing against those kids personally. I'm happy we have them on the team. They're going to be good, solid, I think most likely depth players, but depth players who will play. There's a difference between a depth player who we only see it in garbage time or we don't see it all, and depth players that we see every week. And I think Kedrick Bingley-Jones will be a guy we see every week. He will be in the first team rotation inside. He's going to contend to start. I think it's a pretty decent battle at nose guard, probably between Terrence Green and Kedrick Bingley-Jones as to who's going to be the starter. I lean Green, but I could go the other way. Bingley-Jones is, he had his best. One of the reasons I'm sort of high on him, he's been playing college football for a while, but he had his best season last year. Last year was his best season. It's probably his first healthy season in a while, but he was pretty good last year. Now, he was kind of a depth guy from Mississippi State, wasn't the every down nose guard, but he played a lot. He was decently productive. He played for North Carolina before he got to Mississippi State under Mack Brown. Mack Brown had a good staff, by the way. When that program didn't work out well, but this kid was probably pretty well coached when he was at North Carolina and Chapel Hill. So I'm happy to have him. I'm happy to have Jamarian Latham, who I think is going to play some with the ones as he always has. But so they're good depth guys, but I don't think they'll be, quote, starters, if that really matters. But I do think we'll see Kedrick Bingley-Jones with the ones, and that's why it's important news and why we're talking about him, and I'm happy to have him. But at the same time, like we talked about before, am I for these 9th-year guys, 7th-year guys? No. Just like I'm not for pros playing college basketball.
Look, here's the thing. Like, remember when Saban was asking, is this what we want football to be, when you talked about the hurry up, no huddle and all this stuff? And then people got on to him for being a hypocrite for doing it himself. See, you're just cutting off your nose to spite your face if you don't take advantage. Jimmy and I don't like the 7th-year rule. Jimmy and I don't like it. And I think it's silly that you get to play 7, 8, 9 years in college football. That's just silly. I mean, eventually you just got to move on. And it's hurting the soul of the sport. That being said, if everybody else is doing it, you better do it if you want to be successful. Case in point, Dabo Swinney. Dabo Swinney hates the transfer portal. Spoke out against it. Couldn't stand it.
Still doesn't like it.
And now he still doesn't like it. But he's taking advantage of it. He is begrudgingly falling in line with it because you have to. There's no other choice until something happens that makes this insanity go away. So, yeah, I'm not, and I want to be clear, we're not mad at Jamarian Latham or KBJ. No. We get it. If you get the, just like I don't think people should be mad at Charles Bediako. You take a chance. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. I mean, it's like asking a good-looking girl to the dance. If she says no, I mean, move on to the ugly one. But I don't know why I said that.
And we have plenty of experience asking good-looking girls to dances that said no.
If you don't have good look at Galette's, go to the booth. That's what I used to do. The booth was house money. Galette's was like, I'm taking a chance. But anyway, so true. I think that it's okay to hate the rule. It's okay to hate the trend. and still take part in it, and you don't get to be called a hypocrite. That's what I feel like.
Yeah.
You and I are happy. We're like, hey, Jamarian Latham's coming back. That's awesome for Alabama. But big picture, we hate this.
Yeah. I just don't think it's great for the sport, but this is just what we have. And because we have it, Alabama should have that advantage just like everyone else. Just, the same points we were making about the Bediako thing. I didn't like it. I didn't like it from minute number one. I'm not upset that he's not going to continue to play, but I think I'm just like Nate. Nate went off yesterday on the press conference about Ole Miss's European pro that played 6 years of pro basketball in France, and now he's at Ole Miss, and he obviously, he emphasized it because Nate's going to be upset about this. I get it, because I'm the same way. This is what happens when the NCAA opens the door for pros. Other cases are going to follow, and the unintended consequences could get ugly.
We're going to talk about basketball in the next segment, but I'll say this. After Nate went off like that a little bit, we better win tonight.
I'm Kalia Butler, host of Locked On Women's Basketball, and this is Mazda's Women's Basketball Snapshot, celebrating the work no highlight reel can ever capture. Dawn Staley and South Carolina remain on top of the SEC standings after handing Tennessee their worst defeat in program history with a final score of 93-40. In the 43-point win, South Carolina shot 69% from the field. Tessa Johnson had a perfect shooting night, scoring 24 points, shooting 4 for 4 from the floor, including 2 threes, and made all 4 of her free throws. And UCLA remains undefeated in Big Ten play, topping Michigan 69-66 as Player of the Year contender Lauren Betts put up a double-double, scoring 16 points, collecting 16 rebounds, and adding 5 assists and 3 blocks. These moments are earned off the clock, those long before the lights ever come on. The sweat, the fakes, the doubt, the scrapes, and coming back for more every time. Mazda puts the same drive into every detail. Wins define the moment, putting in the work, that defines you. There's more to a Mazda because there's more to you.
Man.
Or our women's basketball team, every time I see she's locked on women's basketball. Every time I see, that last loss was a gut punch, because the team had been doing so well, and then they lost to a really bad SEC team, and it just,
well, that's
got to bounce back with a good win.
You know what? That's what keeps you from getting over the hump. Winning the big games is great. I mean, it's fantastic. But if you can't win the games you're supposed to win, that's what it ultimately dooms your program. And losing that game at Texas A&M, and we just played pitifully. And so now you almost have to win 2 big games to make up for that.
So good now they take winning an SEC game for granted.
Yeah.
Which is kind of hard to believe,
yeah,
based on where we were as a program for many years. But now it's like, oh, well, we're Alabama, so we'll just roll the ball out there and win. And it's hard to do. It's hard to win every week.
Okay, so tonight Alabama plays, obviously, without Bediako. It sounds like Keaton Bristow's done for the year too, which is fine. I mean, there are a lot of rumors out there about him. I've seen where, he wants to sit so he can transfer. I mean, if that's the case, so be it. But my guess is he's actually hurt, and hopefully he will be back. But I'm guessing he's not going to be back.
Both things could be true.
Exactly. Now, no Bediako tonight means more Noah Williamson. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. That's a problem. My guess tonight is
a problem for Kentucky, so maybe it happens again.
It
can be matchup specific is what I'm thinking with him. There might be some matchups that are better for Noah than others.
Here's my wish cast on him, that sitting these few minutes, watching Bediako out there take his minutes, I hope it lit a fire under him a little bit, and I hope that he realized, I hope that he got more comfortable, because when he's out there, he looks incredibly uncomfortable. It looks like a fish out of water. I hate saying that because, you hate saying anything bad about a player, but I mean, I'm not talking out of school here. You can see it clearly that he looks like I'm out of my league when he's out there. I mean, it's not just the play, it's the look on his face. And so I want him to play with a little bit more confidence, even if it's unwarranted confidence. You know, I want him to I said a long time ago, Alabama's got a necessary arrogance. He needs to have a necessary arrogance that is I don't know what else to say. I just hope he gets out there and does it. Now, Alabama's a 7.5 point favorite. You hate to say must win, but here's the deal. Alabama's got 5 games coming up that are all incredibly winnable. Ole Miss it on the road. Then you come back and play a South Carolina team that's not good in Coleman. Then you play an Arkansas team that's playing very well, but you play them in Coleman. Then you play at LSU, who is stinking it up. They just got blitzed again last night. And then,
They're bad.
They're bad. And that you can see they're mailing it in. And then you got Mississippi State at home. That's 5 very, very winnable games.
Yep.
In my opinion, you really need to go 4-1. Now, they're not going to miss the tournament if they go 3-2 or whatever, but they need to go at the very least.
Is mandatory through that 5.
Yeah.
4-1 is mandatory through that 5 because this is your best. You've played the number. I think is Alabama still the number 1 strength of schedule overall. I mean, they're due for this manageable stretch because they haven't really had a manageable stretch at any point. I think at that center spot, the way I look at it, I'm sure Nate looks at this differently, but the way I look at the center spot is you got 40 minutes. Hopefully Sherrell can give you 25. Is that asking for too much? I mean, I know he's big and running the floor and he's going to get winded, and that's just typical of anybody his size, tremendous size. But if he can give us 25, maybe Noah can give us about 5 or 6 minutes, just 5 or 6 minutes. Use all 5 of your fouls. Be very aggressive defensively. Don't give up. Don't foul them. Don't give up easy shots. And use all 5 of your fouls. And then the remaining 10 minutes that you need from that 5 spot, go small. I think Nate's very comfortable playing fast. When you go small, you play faster. Play fast. Go get back to playing fast. Have Bristow or Amari Allen defend that 5 spot somehow, some way, and play fast. And that's how you can eat up. And that's just eating up the remaining 8 or 9 minutes that you don't have Sherrell and Noah out there.
Maybe I just hadn't paid attention enough. I hadn't seen a lineup where there's no Sherrell or no Williamson or no Bediako and only TBB out there. Maybe
I think it would be TBB. Or Amari.
And then you have Amari, who's doing really well on the boards. You have LeBaron, and you have Holloway, and maybe you have Wrightsville. That's a small lineup, but that also allows us to do more of what we want to do, which is shoot a lot of threes.
Shoot threes and run and run and run.
And we'll give up points. We'll give up inside points. Ole Miss has got some inside presence. But, again, to me, I'm not going to say must win, but it's pretty doggone close.
Yeah, I think they need to win tonight simply because they're better than Ole Miss. And Alabama's got to send a message to there's a lot of talk out there about how the committee should dock Alabama a few games because they won 3 games with Bediako, so they need to dock them a few games. Alabama needs to prove they're a good team without Bediako. And frankly, they had already proven that. It's just going to be forgotten. Everything pre-Bediako is going to be forgotten. They're only going to remember what happened post-Bediako. So you've got to win games to prove that you can win without him. We all know as Alabama fans we can because we'd already seen it, but the world's going to forget. So you better remind them. And when you're playing this little manageable part of the schedule, that's a good time to rack up some wins without Charles. So that's why I'm with Luke. I think tonight's more important than people realize in the message that's being sent. And yet again, you're shorthanded. You're not shorthanded because Charles isn't there. He was never going to be there. But Collins is out for the year. Davian Hanna clearly must be out for the year. TBB is out. TBB is almost certainly out. So
Wrightsville is a walking Band-Aid. I mean, he's always hurt.
I mean, look for the availability report today. I'm as curious as anybody. Boy, we fill that thing up. I mean, we fill the stat sheet when it comes to that availability report.
Stuff in that stat sheet, maybe. All right, that's going to do it for today's pod. We'll be back tomorrow with more. We might be post-game tonight. Until then, roll tide, everybody.
Roll tide.